So yeah, be sure again, we got the chat going, we got the Q&A. If you wanna ask a question, make sure we get it addressed. We'll also try to keep up with the chat as best we can. But yeah, a couple things before we get started. Again, we got AJ here from Render, speed to sale in a downish economy. So going to be a great topic, very timely. Appreciate you taking the time to come and talk with us, AJ. Before we hop in there, want to remind everyone about JobTread Pros. It's our Facebook group, great place to ask questions, collaborate, get help. My team's in there, and then just the whole community, very, very supportive, really excited about that. So if you're not part of the group, definitely go request to join, put in your email and what company you work for, and we'll get you accepted there. Also got today is Wednesday, so we had a new Builder Stories episode come out. Every Wednesday we publish a new episode where I'm basically just interviewing, different builders, contractors, hearing their stories, the challenges that they've had, the successes that they've found along the way. So it's a great way to be able to just learn from others, their experience, and hopefully help you build a better business. So definitely tune in to that if you're not already. Definitely appreciate a like and subscribe as well. And one last reminder, want to make sure everyone's aware of our boot camp. So we do these beginner boot camps, 1 to 2 per month. It's a full 2-day in-person training where we're going to walk you through all the basics, get you set up for training. Kind of get your job tread set up. We usually have around 40 to 50 people that attend. We also do a happy hour kind of networking event at our office on the first day. So you get to meet everyone on the job tread team, see the behind the scenes, things like that. So it's a great opportunity to really just dive in and get everything up and running as quickly as you possibly can. And lastly, if you missed the last webinar on Friday where I announced the dates, be sure to save the dates for JobTread Connect 2026. It's going to be January 14th to the 16th. That's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in Dallas, Texas. We've got early bird tickets going on sale soon, so I think it'll be kind of early or middle of May when we're going to release those. So be sure you're ready. Travel plans, all of that. Make sure that you can block out those times because these will go fast. I think we sold out very, very quickly last year. There's only going to be 250 tickets available, so you'll definitely want to stay tuned for that.
And if you're on the
And
fence about going, to anybody who has missed it, and if you're not, if you're not sure, get off the fence. You got to go. You guys throw probably one of the best shows that I've ever been a part of in my 20-year career in remodeling, and not to mention, you guys really treat everybody so well. The entire event, all your food, the day is packed with learning. I mean, it's one of the best events you'll ever attend. Definitely got to
I
go.
appreciate that, AJ. That means a lot, and I know you go to a lot of events, so excited to excited for that. I see Carl here already asked if we're going to live stream the event, and unfortunately, we're not going to live stream JobTread Connect. Those are kind of in-person events. We got a ton of people there. We may be able to do one or two, like maybe the development keynote we might do, but by and large, it'll be an in-person thing. All right, so without further ado, though, I want to kick this off. Want to introduce AJ again with Render. Cool thing about AJ, he's not only the founder of Render, but he also has built a very successful remodeling business, Cornerstone Remodeling. So he's the owner of that, built Render out of a needs basis, which is super awesome. But look, I'm going to turn it over to you, AJ. You're going to do a much better job telling the story than I will. So welcome.
Thanks, Eric. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to hang out with you guys on webinars and in person. Connect, definitely never live stream that. You've got to be in person for that. But yeah, so I started Render, like you said, out of a needs basis. COVID was really a trying time for my remodeling business. And it's when we learned how to adapt our selling process and started selling projects completely remotely. It was pretty wild. And from that, we developed Render as a remote engagement tool first, but then we tailored it to really focus on streamlining the sales cycle for remodeling, really reducing manual entry from our consultations, quick ability to use LiDAR, scan and create floor plans of existing spaces, and then, of course, through workflow extensions into CAD with integrations with Chief in 2020. Our DXF file works with most others. And then, of course, with estimation software like JobTread, we're just trying to reduce the manual entry of sketching floor plans on person, then taking those plans and creating those models and of course with estimating as well, looking at really unique and creative ways that we can take a lot of that estimation time that we're spending on every single project we look at, reducing it primarily for this point, this conversation today is really if you can enhance your sales by shortening your sales cycle, you will win more jobs. And ultimately, for me, my passion with both of the businesses that I run is really to focus on helping both myself, my employees, but also other contractors enjoy life outside of work. So, how much energy we spend on our businesses to build and grow and scale and keep it alive when things maybe aren't going well. It's taxing on ourselves as individuals, our own mental health, and of course with our families as well. If we can reduce that, help contractors become more successful just by optimizing things that they already know how to do really well, gosh, we'll start to see very successful remodelers. Those that are prioritizing technology, integrated technology like Render and JobTread, those are going to be the guys that win, both in success in business, but also success in their home life as well. So it's a little bit about me and Render.
So I think you can
Yeah.
control the slides.
Oh yes. So yeah, I was really hesitant to use the R word because I really don't believe that we are about to face a recession. I think there's a lot of hyperbole about recession and on the political spectrum, no matter what side you're on. I think that where I wanted to focus on is like whether you're worried about it or not, or whether you're feeling it or not, when there are inevitably going to be tougher, more tense, economic times, how should your business be positioned to kind of navigate some of those waters? I'm coming from a very unique perspective. As I tried to weave render throughout this conversation, I ended up kind of straying more away from render and more on practical ways that we can operate our business when things are tougher. Perhaps the lead intake, the lead pipeline is drying up, or it's just not as robust as it was before. Or we're in geographic markets where people are losing jobs for the first time ever. I'm in the state of Maryland, Baltimore, D.C., huge buffer from any sort of recession hits through history because government jobs, always safe and secure up until this year. And now all of a sudden, we are starting to see some tension. I'm not going to say recession, but we're seeing some tension in the market around where my business is. And just I want to try to focus on some of the very practical things that we can do as business owners to make sure that our businesses thrive through tougher times, whether they're economic or whatever, but also really with a focus on how to leverage technology, specifically Render and JobTread, um, in an effort to speed to sale, because it becomes more important. Speed to sale becomes more important when times are tough than typical when it's still very important. You guys all know this. Thanks for the shout out, Darren. Yeah, it's a wild time out there right now. So again, I wanted to start off. I think anybody who was at JobTread Connect who attended my ed session, um, although I was a sponsor, I definitely wanted to speak from more on the behalf of a business owner, from a remodeling perspective, and because I have much more. I have so much respect for all the business owners out there, especially the ones that are on this call who are taking an hour out of their day to sit on a webinar to learn more about, okay, are there things from this webinar, this next 60 minutes that are going to benefit me in my business? So I wanted to kind of focus on some, just core strategies around the business when things are tough. I don't know if anybody on this call, if you want to drop in the chat, if you're sensing some tension or things maybe aren't as good as they were in 2022 or 2023, feel free to drop a line and let me know if any of this resonates. But I will say Cornerstone Remodeling is doing about $10 million in revenue this year. Last year we did just under eight. And despite the growth, we are definitely feeling the tension in the market. We are having to work harder to get the leads. We're having to work harder to close the leads. Our sales time, our sales cycle is dragging out longer than I like it to. So we are not immune. If you know me on Facebook, you know that I like to promote some very fun and happy things, but just know you're not alone. right? If you're starting to experience some of this stuff. So it sounds like some of these things are resonating with some of the crowd here. Um, so number one, focus on cash flow and cost control. I think any business person out there would agree 100% with that statement. I don't have to read through the bullet points. I kind of listed them here. And of course, I have some of these in a slide if anybody wants this as a follow-up. Um, but I want to focus on, building and maintaining a cash reserve when things do get tough. When you're in a position to throw extra money into the marketing pipeline to really stir the mud up a little bit and actually generate those leads, you need to make sure that you can be in a position to do that. So having those cash reserves does give you the ability to kind of jump in, generate the leads, but then the rest of it that you have to manage that pipeline afterwards as something we'll talk about here in just a few moments. And of course, increasing marketing and customer relationships. Uh, keeping strong relationships with your past clients is really important, especially in downer times. Simply because these clients, hopefully, you guys are like me and you build your business to really engage with your clients, really make them happy. They almost want to help your business make sure that it survives. If you let them know that you're going through a tough time, we had this happen during COVID where we emailed our client base and said, "Hey, we're about to go through a really tough time. Do you know anybody who needs remodeling?" And you wouldn't believe the response we got. So count on your previous clients, make sure those relationships are strong. Building a really good online presence. JobTread really, you guys nailed it with these templates for us to put on our own websites that show how we leverage JobTread, how we're leveraging technology. Make sure that you're taking advantage of those things for your website, and make sure that your social media presence is really strong. People want to make sure, especially with millennials, want to make sure that they can check you out top to bottom online. Millennials, 76% of them shop online versus in store. Uh, Highest of any generation, no surprise there. And when we say shop online, I'm not just talking shopping, purchasing online. I'm talking window shopping. They are going to check you out. Make sure your presence is really strong. And of course, we get this question all the time. I see it often, pitfalls of marketing when things are not going smoothly. You kind of just want to throw everything at the wall. Do not do that. Make sure that you're putting money where it needs to go. Digital marketing is going to be your best bet. There are plenty of marketplace partners in the jobs on JobTread's marketplace that can help you out, that know the remodeling market really well. Digital tools, postcards, door hangers, things like that may help generate a lead or two there. A lot of effort. Digital is going to be our best way to go. Um, Kind of focusing on next is maintaining quality and reputation. One of the pitfalls that I see often with remodelers is that when things are tougher, you tend to want to entertain projects that you don't typically entertain. And when things are going really well, you niche down. Whether it's decks and screen porches, only decks and screen porches, or it's I only do kitchens and bathrooms, right? But things get tough. Your natural inclination is, well, I can build a deck, or for your deck builders, I can remodel a bathroom. It's not our typical, but it's something that I can do because I want to make sure 9 times out of 10, you guys are with me. You want to keep your employees busy. You want to make sure that they don't lose their job. So you're willing to sell outside of your wheelhouse. I would caution that. I would say I wouldn't exclude it, but I would caution against that because when things are tougher, you are typically expanding your geography. You're typically messing with your GP, your gross margins, to try and win those jobs if things get a little competitive. You're certainly not raising prices. And when those things happen and you're struggling to, make sure that you're keeping the sales going, you need to make sure that you can produce efficiently. Say produce, you need to be able to sell efficiently. You need to be able to develop the project efficiently, and you need to be able to produce the project efficiently to make sure you don't have that slippage on the back end. Because the worst thing that can happen to you in a downtime is you selling a job for slightly under the margins that you really want, then all of a sudden find out that your slippage was way higher. So here we dropped our margins up front, and all of a sudden the job ended up losing money because you're just not really good as a kitchen and bath, remodeler building a deck. You can. It was great to see the cash come in, but ultimately losing money is going to put you in a harder place when things start to settle down. So be cautious before you go outside of your wheelhouse. and sales efficiency. That's kind of where we'll spend the meat of our time, I guess, today, is talking about how can you, with a drier or maybe thinner pipeline, make sure that one, you're beefing it up, but two, whatever comes into it, you're trying to hunt and kill everything that's in that pipeline. Sales efficiency, I can't speak about this enough. Over 60% of all contracts awarded to remodelers go to the remodeler who got the contract to the client the fastest. Over 60%. So when we look at standard closing percentages throughout this entire space, it's generally between 20 and 40%. That's typical closing percentages. I've seen remodelers with much lower percentages. I've seen remodelers with much higher. Currently, with Cornerstone, we are closing at 76%. Now, granted, I believe that quarter two, that closing percentage will be a little lower. I'm anticipating it being a little lower. But generally speaking, we're between 50 and 75% closing percentage. And I cannot speak about this enough. And it's because of the professionalism that we were able to present using technology in this process and how efficiently we're able to get things turned around to the client. So when you're using technology, Render and JobTread specifically, we're focused on those two today, but there are plenty of other softwares that you can kind of morph into your stack, right? We use Canva for developing, mood boards and proposals for clients early on that streamline that entire process. When we're leveraging technology to do things faster, the client experience is going to be elevated tremendously. When you can shorten your sales cycle, too, you are actually cycling through more leads, right? So if you think about if you can entertain maybe 10 appointments a week, well, those 10 appointments the next week are going to need estimates, right? So then all of a sudden, those 10 estimates that you sent out are going to need responses because they're going to have questions. Well, as you think about your sales cycle, from the time that you entertain a lead to the time that you actually get a decision, yes or no, sometimes the no is even more important. When that takes 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 10, 20 weeks, your pipeline is stacked full of jobs that are rattling around, causing chaos up here, causing chaos for yourself, for your team members, for everybody involved in your company. When you can shorten that sales cycle, so let's just say Cornerstones was 16 weeks before we could get a decision. We got it down to 4. So out of those 10 leads that we got, after 4 weeks, we're not entertaining those 10 leads anymore. Guess what we could do? We could generate 10 more leads and then start to focus on those. And then after 4 weeks, we could generate 10 more. So over the course of 16 weeks, instead of entertaining those 10 through their life cycle, we were able to generate 40 through that life cycle. So you can just see how this can improve your revenue, your top line, and your bottom line. Because again, if you were cycling through these things a little bit more efficiently, you're actually able to spend more time on the jobs that are moving forward. And that's where you see the bottom line. You're able to estimate those jobs with a little bit more accuracy. You're able to produce them, manage them to be to control your costs a little better. So everything comes down to shortening your sales cycle. So a couple ways that Render and JobTread will do this. I had to think about how to make this not so salesy with Render, but bear with me. The importance of speed to sale, I think I've kind of belabored that point. When you can reach out to your leads quickly, one of the tips that I'll leave you guys with is that we integrated Calendly into our intake process. This really looks as simple as this. If you go to Cornerstone's website on a Sunday afternoon and husband and wife are sitting together complaining about their kitchen, they can go on our website, they can book an appointment with our team. And they do that with your company. If they can't, I would strongly urge you to consider what this looks like. The friction that I got when I proposed this to my team was like, now everybody's going to be able to schedule an appointment. And what about people outside of our area? What if their budget's too low? What if it's a job we don't want? Didn't matter, right? Because we can always take those off of our calendar. It was easier to remove a job from our calendar after the fact when we got our eyes on it than it was to track people down on Monday and ask them to schedule an appointment while they're at work, their spouse is at work. I can't do this until I get home. Then they forget, and it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Now all of a sudden that lead is cooled off, right? So I would strongly urge you to make sure that your customers have instant access to your schedule. And certainly we can have some more follow-up questions on that. Faster sales cycle does mean more projects close in less time. This is how we are taking a team of 3 people and selling $10 to $12 million worth of work every year. We're going to produce probably just under 10 this year with a 3-person sales team. That same 3-person sales team was maxed out and stressed out, selling $4.5–5 million. So again, it means the world to everyone when you can shorten that sales time. And of course, reducing the manual entry preserves precious time to nurture those leads. In a down economy, whatever we want to call this, in a tough economy, you need to make sure that you are present and available to your leads. Every single one you need to count as precious because you paid for that lead and you don't want them to walk away, especially when you're paying more for those leads or you're dumping more money to try to generate additional. Each one you need to be able to treat with utmost care. When you can shorten that sales cycle, you now have more time to treat those and nurture those leads a little better. Of course, leading to an enhanced customer experience, right? Quick communication. Make sure that you have those comms all switched on inside of JobTread, toggled on. You want to make sure your team that is involved in sales, whether it's just you or it's you and a project manager or you have a sales team, make sure that everybody is seeing these and have a honest conversation with your team. If you're going through a tougher time, be transparent with your team members. Say, hey, look, guys, we need to make sure we're trying a little harder to close these leads. I'm not saying anybody's doing a bad job, but we need to be all hands on deck because I'm a little nervous if we don't close as much as we need to be closing, right? So have an honest conversation with them, make sure that they're responding to those comms. Say, hey, I know that you typically respond really well within 24 hours. I need you to respond as instantly as you can, right? Let your yes be yes. This is the conversation I just got into. I was part of a panel. We were talking about the business owner's responsibility to their team members and to their clients. And I brought up this biblical concept: let your yes be yes. Um, this is just it just simply means when you say you're going to do something, actually do it. Uh, Estimating projects sucks. Like we can just probably all agree with that. When we say, hey, we'll have a proposal to you by Friday, and all of a sudden Friday's here, and you're like, "Ah, I need to put together so much for this project." The last thing you need to be doing is thinking about the 7 or 8 hours of work that you had to put into actually generating this proposal, and all of a sudden you start to procrastinate. The easiest thing to do is tell that client on Friday, hey, I ran into a tough spot this week, went by so fast. It's crazy. Haha, kids soccer. I'll have this to you on Monday. We all do it. But ultimately, what that does is it lets that client down. They were expecting that proposal on Friday. The more professional thing to do is actually get them that proposal on Friday, setting clear expectations up front, but also making sure that you can actually deliver on that. So when we run into this issue and we think about using technology to kind of help us out, I mean, Eric, maybe you can do a demo of how Render kind of helps build those budgets actually pretty quickly using templates. We are actually able to take a render scan and develop a budget like that. I'm not saying it's going to be appropriate for every single project that you bid, but when you can start thinking through how you can actually, get those budget templates put together to kind of assist with that estimating, then all of a sudden Friday rolls around, you're like, oh crap, I need to get this estimate done, and it's only 30 minutes of work, and you can pump it out, like you can just get it out the door. Clarity in the sales process. I kind of mentioned things rattling around in the head so much. When you are clear about your sales process, things that happen in a very regimented way, this is kind of more or less what I spoke on at JobTread Connect. Having a really good system set up for your sales process, it will lead to consistency and confidence. Confidence is the key word there. Right now, what we're seeing is that most people are just hesitant to pull the trigger on the remodel. They're actually sitting on contracts right now. People have asked us for the build contract and they're sitting on them. And we probed a few of these customers. Say, hey, one of our clients has had a contract for 6 weeks. Hey, we're getting a little nervous about the timeline. You had the contract. We got to order cabinets. What's going on? And the response is, we're just a little hesitant to pull the trigger because of the uncertainty in the market. So confidence building is going to be crucial if you are experiencing any sort of setbacks or tough economic times. So clarity in your process, what things happen when, how long should clients expect to hear from you, and setting those expectations very early on are going to help you out. So render and job trade. So here's the salesy pitch, right? Render's invite to capture feature, I'm not going to read this bullet point. Um, it really does allow you to have a client, to engage with a client before you're even inside of their home. If you pull up JobTread, and you're a render user, you can actually go to manage render spaces. You can actually click a button that says invite homeowner to scan. This is a great way to get a floor plan back. If you want to have an educated conversation with the homeowner about how much this renovation is going to cost them, they can do all the hard work for you. They can do that entire initial consultation for you before you even pick up the phone and call them. Send them an invite. They can actually, if they have the right device, that's the disclaimer there, they can scan the space and you have a floor plan. What can you do with that floor plan? Well, I have a video on YouTube that showed that I had a client, friend of a family member, said, "Hey, I want you guys to look at doing my kitchen. We're thinking about putting our house on the market. I don't know how much a kitchen costs." I'm like, I don't know how much a kitchen costs either. One, I've been out of the game. I've been out of the estimating game for so long. I'm probably going to give you a low ball price because I'm still living in 2022 up here. But of course, a lot depends on like a kitchen remodel. Like, gosh, how many cabinets do you have? So I said, "Hey, can you do something really fun for me? Can you actually scan your kitchen?" And I started a Loom video, and I just said, "Okay, in this YouTube video, I'm recording myself, and I invite this particular person. During this video, we actually get that scan back, and I'm actually able to drop it into a budget, and it builds this estimate for me. I don't know, $60,000 to $75,000 was like a ballpark. We won the job. We won the job because this is something that they were able to get that price back so fast, and all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, yeah, let's talk." I didn't have to get up from my office chair. You can actually watch. It's like a 4-minute video. I didn't get up from my office chair. So the invite to capture feature allows you to entertain leads at lightning speed without the drive time. If you think about the time that you spend driving to homeowners' homes and coming back with a sheet of paper and then having to enter it all in, Render and JobTread have kind of like eliminated that in the cases where they have the right device. And of course, the budgets that you can build inside of JobTread, the templates, right? So cost groups, when you're able to kind of really spend some time gearing down on this one, I can't emphasize this enough. When you can gear down and actually build these templates out to really serve your business well, it takes some time up front. Don't get me wrong, it takes some time, but it's going to save you so much time. And say things are a little slow, I would spend the effort to say, okay, I heard AJ and talk about templates, and I've heard my CSM at JobTread talk about templates. Let me dive in. Let me get these calls groups built out. Think about most practical way to do it is just think about, okay, what is my most generic way that I can build a template that will assume all of these things? Build your template out and save it. Run a couple of jobs. Next thing you know, you're like, it's missing this every single time. Add it into the cost group. Just save it. Just resave it and say, okay, now we're going to include for those things. When you start building these templates out, you can all of a sudden just start dropping, okay, we got a bathroom estimate. Hey, we got a deck estimate. Hey, we got a kitchen estimate. You can start pumping these estimates out so much faster. And the beautiful thing with the integration between Render and JobTread now is that we can actually save the quantity formulas to steer towards a synced render space. So you can have your entire template, you can pull in your budget and have it completely built out for you, and it looks great. But there may be some things that you always want to point towards a specific parameter that renders have been able to account for. Square footage of a kitchen, or linear feet of cabinets in a kitchen. In a bathroom, it might be the square footage of the space because of, if it's a 300 square foot master bathroom versus a 30 square foot master bathroom, huge price differential with my tile. It requires you to get creative with unit pricing. We had to do this. We saved different templates that have different demo unit prices per square foot for bathrooms than we have for kitchens. Took a little bit of backwards napkin math. You just kind of divide and conquer and see if you can run through and get some templates that work really well. And it's because of that, we're actually having people in our business, our production coordinator, who does not estimate, who's never estimated projects, never run a construction project. She's actually able to put these estimates together for us. So it gave us some agility with how we can bring other people in. So if we're responding to more and more leads now because they're tougher to get, now we have somebody in our office who's a little slower. She's handling procurement on sold jobs, right? So if she's a little slower, hey, can you help us with estimating so we can turn these things around even faster? She has the tools to be able to do this now. So of course, I'll kind of end this slide with this last one here. So aligning with modern client preferences. I just wrote an article about millennials in the remodeling ecosystem. And there is so much about the millennial persona, psychologically, how they purchase non-retail transactions. We're talking remodeling. How these millennials are thinking about choosing a contractor should inform how we sell to them. And the biggest thing, the most glaring thing is just millennials are digital natives. They're going to prioritize a completely digital experience. So when you show up to a home with an iPad to measure the space, they're already like, I like this guy. We hear it all the time. Like, what are you doing? Like, we're measuring your house. No way. Yes, this is how we're going to take your measurements the first go around. When we're able to spin these proposals out digitally through JobTread, all docu-signed or whatever, it's not docu-signed. Sorry, I didn't mean to say docu-signed, but it's all electronically signed, all electronically delivered. All their comms are all electronic, quick and painless. They can message our team. All of these things that we're showing them what they get with us. They crave that, right? So, you know, I mentioned here offering the virtual consultations because I didn't want to forget to mention Calendly because that has probably would have been one of the most defining things with our lead intake process that we've changed with Cornerstone. Um, so yeah, digital natives, millennials in the space, there are so many facts and statistics that I won't even touch on. So I realize I'm 4:34, so I want to leave some time for questions and so forth and a demo from Eric's side. But um, so many stats can prove that, yes, you may be sitting there thinking, oh, I'm selling mostly to boomers and Gen Xers. That will be ramping down dramatically over the next several years, and you will see a dramatic ramp up of millennials as their peak purchasing power is going to eclipse $4 trillion by 2030, which is twice that of their their boomer parents adjusted for inflation. It's an incredible amount of money that these millennials, and they, of course, they're thinking longer term. Millennials, by the way, in tougher economic times, you may find that millennials are more ready to purchase a remodeling project simply because retirement is further off for them. They're reaching their peak earning years with their jobs, with their careers. Their kids are getting older. I don't know if many of you guys are millennials on this call, but we have kids going into high school. We don't want to move, but our homes are getting older. We probably locked in on a pretty decent interest rate as well. We're renovating our homes. And if millennials are prioritizing these digital experiences, very personal, fast, and convenient processes, we need to make sure that our sales process kind of aligns with that. Uh, so yeah, just to recap, financial control. I don't think I have to belabor that anymore. But I kind of tie it back to proposals, making sure that accurate proposals are going out the door. Protect that GP, protect your bottom line, protect that slippage. Of course, the digital workflow, maintaining all of your costs through JobTread. I hope that everybody on this call is actually using JobTread full on, full out, with tracking those expenses, those WIP reports, incredibly important as things get a little tight. Sales efficiency, rapid engagement with those clients. And of course, operational efficiency, streamlined data capture from render, gets those as-built and takeoffs pretty quickly. If you have the right cost groups templates set up, you can turn estimates around lightning speed. One of the tips I'll leave you is if if bathrooms are part of your suite, or perhaps hey, you deck builder and you want to get inside and do some bathrooms when things get tough, and that is definitely in your wheelhouse. I will say when you use render for a bathroom build a template for a primary 4-piece, primary 3-piece, and a hall bathroom. Build 3 templates. It's all you need for bathrooms. You can literally have anybody scan a job for you, homeowner, project manager, yourself, and you can turn around an estimate in less than 30 seconds. And it is detailed top to bottom. We have plenty of YouTube videos on how to do that. Uh, if you're out on a job site, and homeowners are taking, you give me a price on my bathroom, you can literally scan it with render, pull up JobTread on your iPad, sync render space, pull in your budget template for the bathroom, and have a proposal ready for them in less than a minute. Talk about speed to sale, right? So if you can do that on the spot, how great would that be? So yeah, that's about all I wanted to kind of go through. That was a speed round. I didn't pause for anything. I hope Taylor's been monitoring the chats and the Q&A. I have not. I've been ignoring them. Apologies. So I'll pause here and have a conversation with you, Eric and Taylor,
Yeah.
if you want to bring up something. I have the
Well,
Q&A pull up.
yeah. So we got a couple questions. So Gary was asking, can you use render for outdoor spaces like front and backyard? In my situation, I have landscape design and build company.
Unfortunately, no. Render is for interior spaces only. I want to help you deck builders and hardscapers so much, but yeah, we only have the technology to scan interior spaces.
All right. And I saw, how does render excel over ArcSight?
I am not familiar with ArcSight, so forgive me, I don't have an answer prep for that one. Is it safe to say that Render has me and they don't? But no, I would say Render. A lot of contractors are choosing Render. There are plenty of tools out there. We get compared with several other LiDAR tools out in the space. Our commitment is really more towards the speed to sale. Right, so Render, everything that we do at Render is going to be focused on helping contractors become more efficient. So we're going to arm your designers with integrations for CAD solutions to help them get started on designs faster. We're going to arm your estimators with information parameters that we're able to enrich from those scans to be able to estimate jobs faster. And we are focused on just integrations. We do not want to be a CAD software. We do not want to be an estimation software. We do not want to be a project management software. We are really good at knowing what we need as contractors to pick up from an initial consultation in one scan. We pick up all that data, all the 3D data, all of our elevations with where windows are next to doorways, so that when we're building those models, those things are all placed accurately because we know accuracy with designs and estimating is crucial for us to be successful. So, in a nutshell, that's about what render is. Yeah,
How
and
about we, can I show a quick little demo here?
I love that. Yeah,
That
you have
might
a
be,
great template for this.
yeah. So I'm going to pull this, see here.
Yeah, and while you do that, Eric, I'll answer Chris's question. So, what's the right device? So, we are on LiDAR capable devices, so iPhone Pros and iPad Pros. When you're talking with a homeowner, you want to invite them to scan the space on their own. Quickest and easiest way to do this. If we are on the call with them, we say, "Hey, we want to do something really fun. Just curious, do you have an iPhone?" If they say yes, we just say, "Does your turn it around? Does your iPhone have three cameras?" And really, we're not asking about the cameras, but if it has three cameras, it's almost 100% always going to have this LiDAR sensor. It's easier for them to just spot the three cameras. If they say yes, hey, I'm going to do something fun. I'm going to send you an invite. When you get it, just scan your space. It's going to give me a floor plan. We'll send it to you. It's really cool. This is how we're going to measure your space when we come out there anyway. It's a great way to get them to do it.
Yeah. So I'm just going to quickly create a new job here. I'm just going to skip past all this. So create the job. What I like to do, just so that you can really see what's happening here. So I'm going to come over to the budget, and this is where I'm going to import this pre-built. So we already have a render. We'll do this kitchen one here. So I'm going to bring in that budget so that you can see, that we've already set up all of the quantity formulas. This is really where these parameters that you're going to see in just a second that we're going to pull in, they're already in place. And so that was done in that budget template. So once that's in there, we can go back over here to the dashboard, and this is where we're going to hit this manage render spaces. And so, we could either, create a new invite. So this is where I could type in that contacts information, and then use this, basically this to send the invite. So how AJ was talking about that invite to scan, this is what is going to do that. And so, the neat thing too, you can automatically, if you want to add them, invite them to this project as well. You can do that at this point. But yeah, so that's that. Now we've already got some demo stuff in here, so I'm gonna skip that part, and we're gonna come over here. And so here is all of the spaces. So I'm just kind of searching through all of the spaces that have already been scanned, and we're just gonna hit add to job. Now normally if you do the invite, it's gonna do that, kind of go through its thing, and then once it's done, it'll automatically drop it into JobTread, and you'll get notified, and then you'll come back over here, and this is where you're gonna essentially import the parameters. But before I show that, so you see here in the background, like this is where that plan that came out of render, it automatically gets uploaded to the job, which is really helpful, just so that you've got it. If you need to do anything else with that, you can.
And if I had photos in that particular scan, you'd also see those photos show up there too. We get that
Uh,
question often as a similarity to company cam and how those photos come through.
Yep, perfect. So here's where we can come and we can decide, do we want to import all these, parameters, all this measurement data that came out of that scan is just right here at our fingertips. So we could, if this is just, for one, room or one, kind of thing, we could add a prefix if we want. We could rename these parameters. If there was already something populated in these parameters within JobTread, it would show you a little warning, say, hey, we've already got something in there. But I'm just going to go ahead and just import all of it. And so at this point, all of this data just got added back over here into our budget. And you can see like within, just seconds, like we were able to grab all of that measurement data from the render scan, populated it all right here. All I got to do is hit save. Then we're going to do new document. I'm going to create my proposal. And again, if you've already sort of set up your template, everything's looking how you want it. You basically have this here. Now, I don't typically like to show kind of a breakdown of all the, every single, line item and all that detail you can. It's up to you, but you can save this as well in the template. But here's where, again, based on, the cabinets, we've got, some selections that we've made available to them. We can choose our countertops. You could have your flooring options. And so you can see using that as-built, scanned data, it just informs all of the different line items in the budget to seamlessly turn that around. And so if you're standing there with the client, again, like AJ was saying, you just right there on your iPad, let's go through and let's make our selections together. We could do that right there. Or if you're, you get it back and you never go out there at all and you send it to them, again, it's with their information, they're getting to go through and make those selections. And so it's just super, quick and easy to be able to get all that data.
Yeah, one of the things I'll add to this is that, it's a couple of questions that came in regarding these templates is, how much time does it take and, can you get help setting it up? I'll make sure my contact information is available after this webinar. If you guys want to, schedule some time with me, we have as part of your sign-up process with Render, onboarding time, and usually it's with me because I have more experience with the integration. So I'm very well versed with 2020 and Chief, but I'm also very well versed with JobTread, simply because my remodeling company uses JobTread. So if you want to schedule some time to kind of work through some of these things, we'll make sure these templates, we have a couple templates already available. This one is a little better than mine. So perhaps I'll get this one from Eric. And we can kind of give you a really good head start on how to build these templates out for your business so that they work for you. Really, the time that it takes to build these templates is a matter of, how detailed you want to get with this particular process. We use this as a tool primarily to get ballparks done, depending on what type of renovation that you guys do. If you are a kitchen and bath, like we do, like what we call rip and replace, right? We're not moving walls and doing anything crazy. We do the same type of renovation every single time. That's why I said bathrooms are really good for this, because seldom times are we moving walls. When the design isn't changing and you're simply ripping out what's there, replacing it with all brand new, that's where this integration is probably the most powerful, simply because everything that you need to do to estimate that space is captured in the inside of that render scan. So like what Eric showed you is that when we do a primary bath, we have renders capturing the linear feet of cabinets that are inside of that space. If you can tie your cabinet allowance to the linear feet, a linear foot price for the cabinets, then it's pulling that parameter in. You can kind of see it there. We have linear feet of wall cabinets plus the linear feet of base cabinets. So if Render picked up wall cabinets and base cabinets, it's going to combine that all into one allowance figure. We're just multiplying it against a linear foot price. Let's see, we have 275, 375, and 450 per linear foot. And that's what's developing our 3 tiers of our cabinet allowance. In bathrooms, we're even tying number of light fixtures because Render will pick up the number of sinks. So if you think about, oh gosh, if it's a double vanity, I don't just need one mirror, one light. I need 2 mirrors and 2 lights. Well, we use the number of sinks parameter to inform the vanity lights and the mirrors or medicine cabinets for a bathroom space. So we can get really creative with some ideas that we can give you guys. And ultimately, if we can spend 30 minutes on a call and kind of go through some of those different ideas, hopefully we can inspire you to create some of those templates on your own.
I see a lot of people asking for the templates. Like I want to show you all something else too. So, again, this is all cued in on the parameter name. So if you go into the help desk, just search for render. So this is going to pull up the information about the render integration. Nice little video there, the setup, kind of how it works. But right here, so these are the render parameters. So if you literally just take and copy that right there, that is the exact name of all of the different parameters that are available through this integration. So incorporate these into your templates, and that's how it's just going to seamlessly work. You know, the name of the parameters coming from render, those aren't going to change. And so if you just match your template up to those, you know, that's how you're going to be able to just do this very, very seamlessly.
Yeah, big time. I got I got Carl saying, send it to me right now, and I'll shoot my kitchen right now. So, Carl, if you see that, just send me your email address, and I'll send you an invite, and
Yeah.
see if you can scan that kitchen. But yeah, it's a really powerful integration. It's only going to continue to get stronger. If you are friends with me on Facebook, you saw a post last week or so mentioning a really big update, just a foundational update for us, and one that's going to impact JobTread in an awesome way. Is that we are releasing room-based parameters. It may not sound very flashy, but it is the work that we had to complete to support so many other different initiatives that we have at Render. And the biggest impact, at least on the front end, is going to be a little bit more granular data that we're going to be able to pump into JobTread. So when you scan an entire first floor, like the one that Eric just showed you, there are specific areas around that space that may be getting treated a little differently than others. We may scan an entire first floor and be focused on building out a kitchen estimate, but really the flooring is going to be isolated to the kitchen and the dining room. But we may want to paint the entire first floor. We got a lot of requests from a lot of JobTread users that said, "Hey, I would love to be able to break those things out by their individual rooms." And it is incredibly difficult. I'm going to give props to my dev team, my engineering team. It is incredibly difficult to train, a phone to understand what is considered a room if it does not have a standard number of walls, or even if they're even not connected or not. With doorways. So we've been able to do that, and we're going to be releasing room-based parameters that will segment all these individual spots. So if you're a painter on the call and you say, well, I want to be able to segment all my rooms based on, bedroom one, ceiling paint, bedroom one, wall paint, and bedroom two, you will have the capability of doing that. And so when you're building these templates out, be mindful of, again, how creative you can get with always recognizing that you may want to have the kitchen cabinets included inside of that parameter for the budget. And then, of course, when you are in the takeoff tool inside of JobTread, you can use the floor plan there, the render floor plan to come up with some custom formulas. But we're hoping to give you that capability with the room-based parameters as well. So really excited about how fast we're going to be able to produce estimates. And ultimately, if you think about long-term longevity for your business, I am in a very unique position where I'm 37 years old, and I spend 4 hours a month on my remodeling business. And I get asked the question all the time, like, "Oh, you could retire." I'm like, I could. So I talk with guys that are in their 50s and thinking about, okay, exit strategy. When we can train employees to do what we know how to do really well, like it's hard to let go of sales in your remodeling business. That was the hardest thing for me to do. But when you can make sales so streamlined, so easy, and foolproof and accurate every single time, using the knowledge that's up here and putting it inside of JobTread, having it informed by Render, if you can make those things work, you can literally hire people to run your business, people perhaps with better sales presence than you. I hired a guy who's better sales front than I am. I was able to sell well because I was an owner, but of course, I hired somebody who actually has sales training, right? You can actually do those things with a little bit more ease when you can dial into these processes like this and make it simplified and streamlined the entire way. So,
Yeah, that's a great point. Got a couple questions here. So Nigel asks, when can we get the files directly into JobTread and into Chief Architect instead of having to download it and then put it into Chief Architect?
Eric, we'll talk about that when we have our Chief Architect integration live. It's everybody on the call, we are working on it. It's actually not on our cord anymore, which is great. But when we do have that live, when Chief Architect has it live, it will be a server-generated file. So that is something that we actually can give you the capability of pulling down from JobTread, which will be really exciting. But until that happens, until Chief Architect has that go live, it is going to be something that you have to download from the render side, but we are going to improve that. So we're excited about that.
Awesome. So Steve here asked, does Render work with Android?
Render works with all LiDAR capable devices. So unfortunately, Android does not have, I think the Samsung Galaxy, the new one, is coming out with LiDAR, but until it's more widespread on the Android side, we are unfortunately only on the iOS side. So there are plans to expand that, but ultimately, what we see a lot of times with uh, customers is that they are Android based, but they'll buy an iPad for their sales team or themselves to have on those sales consultations. The iPad is actually a great way because it's a nice big size tablet and it's great for sketching on when you want to annotate that PDF and make notes when you're in the field.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so let's see. Nigel said, so for example, we have our designer in Kenya and we have to download the appropriate file from Render and then upload it into JobTread so he can retrieve it. We need him to get the file, so we don't want to give him access just to be able to retrieve the file in JobTread, which we already have. So I think this is referring back to kind
Back
of
to the
getting
other
that
question,
file,
yeah.
yep, directly in there. So,
So Nigel, it will be coming. Yeah, we're going to work on that.
all right, Chris asked, is there a demo or free trial version?
Yes. So I didn't put a QR code on screen. I probably should have. But if you navigate over to render.com, RENDR, you can sign up for a demo if you would like to schedule a demo with our team, or if you just wanted to kind of download it on your own and try it out. There is a self service side that you can sign up on your own. When you sign up and start your trial, you will be posed with a question to like schedule a 15-minute check-in with our team, but also to schedule an onboarding. If you click little secret, if you click on onboarding from that screen, it will always be me. So if you do sign up on your own and click that onboarding link, it'll book 30 or 45 minutes on my calendar and happy to walk you through anything that you want to learn about Chief Architect 2020, JobTread, my dog.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Looks like Carl here, he sent you his email. So again, guys, another way just to, to also reach out if you want. When you go through the marketplace, you're going to find AJ over here in both both places. You can reach out, this way as well, get more information. But I'm sure he's always willing to share his info too. Got a couple people's emails here for you. All right, so Carl, can you touch on pricing?
Yeah, so we are priced for unlimited use. So we're not throttling you back on number of projects or square footage or anything like that. So it's a subscription based on user. It's $149 a month, or if you pay for the year, I think it's like a 20% discount. Basically, you get 2 months free, and it breaks down the price to be about 119. You do get a special JobTread discount. So anybody, we extend 10% off for all of our JobTread users as well. So on top of that. But you do get 2 weeks free trial. So if you just want to test it and see if everything we're telling you is true, you can test it for 2 weeks without any charge. And happy to have a conversation about it too. If you guys want to get in and try it for a little longer, just reach out.
That's great. We probably need to mention that special discount here
Yes, we do.
for JobTread customers. And I guess they just tell you. Is that how it
Yep.
works?
Yeah. Usually we'll ask in the when you sign up if you use any of our integrations, and then of course if you use JobTread, just mention that.
Gotcha.
If you schedule the onboarding, one of the questions that'll come up is like, "Hey, are you using any of our integrations?" So mention it there as well, so I can be prepared. I can be prepared, and I can make sure to address uh, maybe get a little bit more kind of worked up on the JobTread integration before we hop on our call. You guys are improving things so often that I need to hop in and see the dashboard more often.
Yeah. We had another question. Will Render become part of JobTread package or is it an additional cost? So as he described it, it is an additional cost, separate subscription.
Yeah.
Will we need all three integrated, JobTread, Chief, and Render? We agree.
Yeah.
All of us agree. We're working on it too. Thanks to AJ. He actually got us in touch with some of the VPs over there, and we've kind of all three of us have been working through getting a JobTread export added to Chief Architect. So if you end up kind of getting the material list from Chief, all flushed out over there, then you'll be able to, first step is just export in the format that you need to pull it into the JobTread budget where you can just import it. Eventually, we hope we can get this done programmatically with APIs and whatnot. But hey, I'll take a JobTread formatted export as a V1 if that's what I got to do.
Big time. Yeah, and if you guys have questions about that material list export too, I'm very well versed with that. You can pull the entire plans and put it into a material list. You can do polygons, so you can actually just say affected areas and have a CAD line specifically on areas that you're affecting and have it building the material lists based on those specific areas. And that's where I saw the biggest opportunity with integrating it with JobTread is because, hey, if we could scan it with render and build a plan, manipulate the plan, because oftentimes with design builds, we're taking out a wall and making the kitchen twice as big. Well, at that point, my render parameters aren't going to serve me as well. But of course, my design from Chief Architect, that material list certainly will. You can export that plan into Chief Architect's takeoff tool, JobTread's takeoff tool currently, but how great would it be to just click a button and say, hey, send my material list over to JobTread and have that pricing kind of update with all those new quantities?
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
sounds dreamy. Yeah, it sounds dreamy.
I see Nigel here said, "Oh my God, he loves that." So look, Nigel, you're very good at pushing companies. So I would suggest go over here. Let's get some chatter going and some requests on the Chief Talk forums. I actually searched the other day to see if JobTread has been brought up or not, and doesn't look like we got much activity. So to the extent that we can kind of make sure they're seeing these requests, I think that will help us keep kind of building our case and hopefully getting them to put that out there for us. All right, so let's see. Yeah, don't have a date, a time quite yet, Karina. We'll have to keep working that. Carl, wow,
Yes.
30% off. Yeah,
Sign me up. Let's go.
take my money. All right, so let's see. Tyson, is there going to be the ability to edit walls and render directly?
No, like I mentioned earlier, we do not want to be a CAD software. So there is there's a definite need for that, and perhaps on part of our roadmap we'll want to make some slight corrections, but we really do feel that when you scan with render, you can do all the editing that you need to do, and ultimately just work out of your CAD software for that. One little piece of advice though, before I let you guys go, like kind of on that front, when you scan a kitchen or a first floor we do expect the measurements in single rooms to be down within an inch and in large footprints within a couple of inches. We know that the kitchens are really important to get right. So, early stage consultations, we don't care about the couple inches. We really don't. But some of you guys may want to take note of some critical dimensions. So when you scan an entire first floor workflow out of render, just export that PDF to markup and take some of those critical notes. Like, hey, I want to replace this door. Hey, they want to do flooring here and grab some of those measurements. Maybe it's kitchen alcove, kitchen sink center. Jot those down. When you get it into Chief Architect, it happens lightning fast to build your layout. Then you can just click those 2 or 3 walls that are very critical to the design and adjust it based on the field measurements that you grabbed. You're still saving a ton of time. All the other adjacent rooms are built really well with windows and everything, but then you know that the kitchen is going to be, locked and loaded for that initial design. So just a
Yeah.
little tip from the render team.
All right, last question, which really isn't a question, more of a statement. Brian here said render is great. We have been using it for about 6 months now. Definitely look into the demo.
Hey,
Totally
Brian.
agree.
Yeah. I was talking with Brian earlier today. Yeah. What's up?
Awesome. So
I
yeah,
missed
look,
that one.
AJ, again, I've always been really excited about, the thought of this. You and I talked about it, I think before render even was officially a thing. You did what you said you were going to do. You built this out. You built a great product. Super awesome that we've been able to have such a close collaboration too. We actually the JobTread and the render developers have a Slack group. So anytime anything goes wrong or we need to get anything fixed or figured out, we are in direct communication with his team. They have been great to work with, and it's really exciting to see though the continual innovations that you're putting out. As soon as there's updates over there, we're committed to continuing to get those updates added to the JobTread integration with render. So very, very excited about it. Appreciate everyone for coming out. Appreciate you, AJ, for taking the time, to walk through this presentation, and then also for us to be able to do the demo, answer questions. Thank you again for coming and doing this.